And welcome back to Let's Play Xenogears. We have finally reached the final episode. It has been more than a year for me doing this. I started this, my first episode went live on March 8th of 2010. And it is currently, as of this recording, April 17th of 2011. So it's been a long time coming. But I finally reached the end in this last episode, and it is going to be the longest episode I've ever done. It is nearly an hour in length. But there really isn't an appropriate place where I can cut this to shorten it down significantly. So I'm just going to bite the bullet and do it a full long episode. Now, we saw this scene in the end of the last episode, and we're going to go over some of this stuff again. I'm going to do a save just so, in case I die, then I don't have anything to worry about. Now over here you'll notice that gear is still here, and this is also the method you can use to leave. It takes you right back all the way out of Deus, and you can go around and explore the world map again if you want. The only problem is if you want to get back here, you have to go through the whole damn thing again. What good advantage this has here though is this gear here now has all the optimal equipment that you'd find on the Yggdrasil. So if you couldn't afford to upgrade everybody before, you might be able to now, having gone through a bunch of extra battles. Okay, I'm going to finally move forward. This tunnel looks familiar, doesn't it? It should. It's the same place that we went through when we were trying to rescue Ellie from Krelian. Well, that TV's too loud. I'm going to have to shut that down. You can probably hear it when I'm not talking. Remember, this is the room that Ramses was born in. You can't get out of the gear or anything, so there's really nothing to do here, just to move through it. And here we are back here again. All that's really left to do is to jump in, and you will be face to face with the core of Deus. There it is. Okay, just to go over again what they were talking about. Deus itself is in the middle. Now, I could go straight forward and attack the core and destroy it. Or I could take out the four things surrounding it. Every one of those things on the outside that you take down, Deus in the center loses ability. So it is weaker and easier to take down. So there's a debate on whether you should attack the core directly or use fuel attacking the outside ones. Now, the best thing to do is actually take down at least a couple of the ones on the outside, specifically this one here, because this one is responsible for healing Deus. You kill this thing, and the Deus in the center cannot heal itself. Also, there's a couple of strategies you might as well go with. Do not use Faye or any of the characters you plan to use to attack Deus's core. Just take the other characters, and I would actually recommend doing what I'm doing here. A combination of Billy, Emeralda, and actually Choo-Choo. This is the only time in the game that I think Choo-Choo is actually useful. Reason why is because you have to worry about your fuel consumption while fighting these things, because you're not going to be able to get a chance to heal your gears in between battles. So you have to conserve as much fuel as possible. Now I'm using boosters, so that's not conserving fuel too much. But Choo-Choo has the ability to not only attack without using fuel, but also can heal the other gears using normal EP powers. On top of that, I'm also using Emeralda because I've used certain pieces of equipment on her that strengthen her ether attack powers. So she's not using a whole lot of fuel to attack either. Just as much fuel as is required for the booster to run. So you see this, using a regular old ether attack deals that much damage. And by doing this, you take down this enemy pretty quickly. And of course, Choo-Choo can go and heal the other characters. And fortunately, between battles, Choo-Choo is the one character that you can heal between battles because you can just use normal items to heal her. Also, I just took down this one, so now Deus cannot heal. That battle actually went a lot easier and a lot better than I thought it was going to. And it is the easiest battle, and if you had to choose just one, I'd recommend doing that one. There is a method of telling which one is which, although I've honestly forgotten it. So it was only by pure luck alone that I managed to choose the proper enemy to engage. Now you need to make sure you heal Choo-Choo before going into the next battle. That way she will be at full HP again. Now, since this team here did that battle surprisingly well, I'm going to use the same team to assault the next pillar. Now this one here, what its ability is and what ability you remove from Deus is the ability to steal fuel. Now again, this is another battle where it's perfect to have Choo-Choo and Emeralda there because neither of them will be using standard fuel to attack. Billy will, but somebody's got to be in there. Doesn't heal a whole lot, but it's enough to get you by, and it's good enough to keep you from basically running out of fuel trying to heal the characters, trying to heal the gears. The only thing I didn't do is I should have restored Emeralda's EP between battles. I didn't do that because I wasn't thinking. Also, another problem with fighting this monster is it is not a full-size enemy. The way it interacts with the gears is the way that a small on-foot enemy would, meaning you cannot use combos on it. So, although Billy is building up an attack level, he will not be able to use an attack combo because he lacks the... because it's not a large enough enemy to do that against. Yep. And Choo-Choo can attack. And I think you're going to see me attack with Choo-Choo in a few seconds. Unfortunately, her attacks are absolutely pathetic and aren't really capable of doing any damage. It doesn't matter what element you use against these things, because they're not element sensitive. Or at least this one isn't. This thing will steal a lot of fuel. So you still have to worry about, like, for example, with Billy, running out of fuel with Billy. Okay, we have done it again. We've taken down another pillar and sealed Deus's ability to steal fuel. Unfortunately, in the case of both Emerald and Billy, there is not enough fuel for them to really be used in the next battle. Emerald's HP is too low, Choo-Choo can't heal it fast enough, so I'm going to swap out both Billy and Emeralda for Maria and Rico. To tell you the truth, it's not actually the best team to use, because they are both terribly slow in Gears, and the battles take a little bit too long. Make sure you heal Choo-Choo again, because remember, Choo-Choo should be here. Make sure you have some at least decent equipment here. Choo-Choo doesn't use equipment. And the angel armor will mitigate angel attacks. Unfortunately, none of these things use angel attacks, so that's not going to be doing us any good. Now this is probably the most pain in the ass of the bosses. Metatron, whatever the hell that means. The earthly anointment ability. Make sure that you don't really have to worry about using too much fuel, because all I really planned to do was take down this last one here. Or this one here. So I boosted with both of these. They're both slow, but boost it, they get faster, but they're going to use up all their fuel. It's something that's basically unavoidable. Defense down. Okay, go ahead and attack. Oh yeah, watch your fast attacks, because it will dodge. Yeah, do something. One thing I do like about this end boss that we're dealing with here is having it split up to being several different battles. Basically ensures that you're going to use all of your characters. So none of your characters you've been playing with this entire time are going to really be left out. Oh, that thing does a lot of damage. You gotta watch this one with Choo-Choo, I guess. Because Choo-Choo's actually pretty close to, you know, dying. I'm trying to get level infinity with Maria, but Rico, it's not going to work. So I'm just going to immediately throw off the combos as soon as I get them. And that's actually a pretty good strategy. I know a lot of people on the forums and stuff talk about you should always try to build up a higher attack level. But if you do the math, you realize that you do more damage per number of turns if you use attack levels at level 1. I mean, even at level infinity really isn't that big of an advantage and not really worth getting at, because you may, in most gears, end up trying to attack like 50 times trying to get to a level infinity. Oh no. It's doing a lot of damage. But it didn't focus all the way on Choo Choo, so Choo Choo's still alive and well. You notice hyper mode, the gauge on the right. That is the percent chance you have of reaching level infinity by using an attack there. There's only 15%, which isn't much. With the case of Xenogears, you have a 99% chance of reaching level infinity with your fourth attack. In practice, I've never actually seen a case where it didn't always work, so you can just basically assume that we'll always get him to level infinity. Defense down, that's an irritating spell. No, I kept screwing around and trying to use X attacks. Starting to do a lot more damage with the defense being lower. And of course I keep using X attacks with Rico and it always misses. Finally reached level infinity, and it's the last chance I really have to show you what it looks like. Yep. It's actually kind of cool looking. Oh, Choo Choo's almost down. This one's even cooler looking. Choo Choo may be down, but don't worry too much about it. The battle's almost over. Okay, Meteoron is dead, and the Earthly Anointing ability of Deus is now sealed. Now there is one more pillar left. Unfortunately, I am not too confident about my remaining character's ability to take it down. So I'm just gonna say the hell with it. I'm gonna swap out these characters for Faye, Bart, and Saitan, and go and assault the one in the middle. And the end boss. I love this music that plays during it too. Now, this is actually the second time we fought Deus, because remember we fought Deus on board the Eldridge. But at that point, the Deus that we were fighting was only a small portion of the entire system. Now, this is a fully restored, full-powered Deus, and it's a lot stronger. Now, fortunately, it's not a terribly difficult battle, especially since I eliminated 3 of the 4 support pillars. So it's gotten a lot. It's not like its HP is lower or anything, it just lost some abilities. Look at the design of this enemy, too. You notice it kind of looks a little bit like Xenogears. It's white, it has that weird little eye-looking thing all over it, which also happens on Xenogears. And you kind of think, like, well, that probably has something to do with the wave existence. They both have contact with the wave existence, they both draw power directly from the wave existence. Notice the angels that are its hands. That's pretty cool, I think. And they actually fly away, and Deus uses them to attack your characters. Something I was talking about in the last episode was how the antagonists in this game basically have motivation and stuff, unlike a lot of other games where they're evil for the sake of being evil. Now, the problem with Deus, although Deus has essentially been enabled by characters like Krelian and Graf and all that, characters with motivation, Deus itself feels more like a force of nature. It doesn't really have a voice, it doesn't have a face, it doesn't have anything like that. So it's just more like something like trying to survive an earthquake, really. Oh, here's another level infinity attack. Looks completely different with the old-fashioned style Voltal, but oh, here go the angels. This battle is actually almost over. See how easy by comparison it is when you remove the support pillars. Notice there's rockets coming out of the back of Xenogears, what happens when it reaches level infinity. And that did it! We had just killed Deus! Save the friggin' world! Yippee friggin' do! Okay, so Deus is in fact dead. What's happening is the wave existence, which is inside of Deus, inside the Zohor, which I guess is inside of Deus, is trying to return to its own dimension. The problem is, it doing that on the planet's surface will destroy the planet. Obviously not good. Ellie decided to use what remains of Deus's power to propel it into the sky and take it away from the planet. Faye, not willing to watch Ellie die again, charges after her in an attempt to rescue her from Deus. From this horrible fate of being blown up, you know. But he follows it up, and, well, this weird little dimensional shift starts happening. And they're both pulled into it. And we're here again. Yes, it is Krelian. So you thought the battle against Deus was the last battle in the game. But it's not true, we have to fight this creature. Now, as far as I can tell, this is what remains of Mayang. Not the woman herself, or the women that she turned into, but the core program, the idea, what she was. How she managed to survive the destruction of Deus, I don't know. But, that's, I guess, her. Now, it appears this is what Krelian had wanted all along. He looked up and he sees Deus, and Deus was the origin of human life on that planet. But beyond that, and in that capacity, Deus was God. But beyond that, to the origin of basically the existence of our entire universe, is the result of the wave existence merely accidentally creating us. And Krelian's idea is like, oh, humans are primitive, we're small, we're insignificant, we're not really capable of anything, and all we're destined to do is run around, kill each other, and eventually die. Faye is here trying to prove that, yes, we are beyond that, and trying to prove his love for Ellie by slaying this monster in an attempt to save her. Big Bang. I don't think I've shown you this yet, but it is not a very powerful attack. It's actually kind of useless when you don't equip Faye with the necessary items, which I did not do. Although it does kind of look cool. This battle should be coming to a close real soon. As powerful as Mayang was, she doesn't really hold a candle to the power of the Contact or anyone like that. That being the only reason why Faye's still able to use his gear and still able to use ether power, because he didn't just draw power from the Zohar modifier. He drew his power directly from the wave existence, which still exists, even though the Zohar, which is now broken, prevented everybody else from using their power.
Let's return to our planet.
That light. It's the point of contact with our world. But the dimensional shift has already begun. Will we make it in time?
Can you run?
If we're together, I can.
That is an exceptionally well-placed lens flare, isn't it?
Krelian, you.
There's no time. This place is about to be destroyed. Now there is no more God. This is no longer their planet. This is your home planet that you are now standing on.
Krelian, you aren't going, are you?
No. Since that time, I have stopped being human. I've committed so many sins that any attempt at living like a human is impossible. The only one who could have forgiven me was God.
That's not true. I know they would understand.
Seriously.
There's still plenty of time to atone for your sins.
Put some
Of
pants
all
on.
people could do it.
Always the peacemaker, eh, Lacan? Perhaps that's what it means to be human. But regardless, I cannot go. It's something I've already decided. I go to walk with God, even if there's no place left for me upon my return. I must go now.
Krelian,
Actually, I envy you two.
What happened?
Waves from the explosion disrupted the ionosphere, making it impossible to get a visual. They were probably caught up in the explosion.
That's a lie! He'll come back. He promised us he would. I know it.
Run through the cold of the night as passion burns in your heart. Ready to fight, a knife held close by your side. Like a proud wolf.
That brings to an end my Let's Play series for the game Xenogears. It's been more than a year in progress, but I've finally come to an end with an exceptionally long episode. But it was fun, and I'd probably do it again, but now I need to turn my attention towards what my next Let's Play series is going to be. Still working on that. In the last ticking seconds of this video, and I have a final chance to talk a little bit about it, let's do a little bit on the ending, because I feel it's one of those things that is a little more up to interpretation rather than the rest of the game story, which was more laid out for you. What exactly was Krelian's deal? Now, Krelian, as I had stated in the previous episode, is a character with motivation. It always seemed like he was motivated to resurrect Deus because he was screwed up in the head. But it seems now that he wanted, like, forgiveness or atonement or something. Now, before, back 500 years ago, in those flashbacks, he said that he had done horrible things in his life. And this was before he turned into the guy who destroyed humanity. He was probably he was an assassin or something like that. And he had killed people before. And it was basically Sophia, or the Ellie of the time, that sort of brought him out of that and turned him into a better person. Then when he had to watch her die, he flipped his shit and turned to the dark side, basically. And he worked to resurrect Deus, because Deus is a very powerful thing. He wanted, in his own words, to create God with his own hands if he had to. And he worked to create Deus, or worked to resurrect Deus, which in essence was his God, what created him. In that action, he had done a whole lot of horrible things. Now, I'm not entirely sure at what point he came to the realization that the wave existence existed beyond Deus, what was basically that higher plane, what was the greater existence than Deus. But he eventually learned about that and came to the realization that Deus isn't God, Deus is just this thing. And I've done horrible, horrible things for that. And he has. He is a monster. He's killed most of the people on the planet. And there's really no forgiving that kind of thing, despite what Faye said during the ending video. So he figures the only one that can forgive me is God. And God in the world of Xenogears is the wave existence, the power source for Deus. I'm not entirely sure what he thought was going to happen, because by resurrecting Deus, he made it much, much harder to destroy it. Deus, in effect, was destroyed at the moment when Lacan destroyed most of humanity. Because remember, he did that with the Diablos invasion. He destroyed the Gazel Ministry. Without them, Deus could never have been resurrected. Deus was essentially destroyed, and he could have wrecked the rest of it and released the wave of existence in that method. What he ran the risk of doing was having Deus come back and... Oh, I jumped ahead for a few seconds. Well, Lacan went and killed all of the Gazel Ministry, and without them the plan couldn't go forward. Well, it was Krelian that went and distributed their DNA around the population of the planet, allowing the Gazel Ministry to continue to exist. In a certain form, their genetic code to exist anyway. And that gave them the chance to resurrect Deus. So he ran the risk of unleashing Deus, his ultimate weapon, on an unsuspecting galaxy potentially full of humans. He could have basically killed a whole lot of people. More than even was on the planet. So, I mean, you can't really forgive that kind of thing. He was a horrible, horrible individual, and he deserved to die, you could say. But he's basically, in a certain capacity, has moved beyond his evil side, and he was looking for forgiveness when trying to join with the way of existence. And you can maybe say that's what he got. Episode 5. There were actually, in the storyline, several episodes before it, but they're not games. But, last few seconds of Let's Play Xenogears, so I say thank you for watching, and I hope maybe you watch some of my other Let's Play series I've yet to make. Goodbye.